From his super unpredictable fighting style that can surprise opponents, to his insane energy level that doesn't drop throughout the fight, here's why pros hate fighting against Yair Rodriguez. As one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC, Yair's a total showman. Whether you're talking about acrobatic flying kicks or something more up close and personal like a submission hold, he's got the moves in his locker and is really good at what he does. But just dishing out these moves is never enough for success though. It's the element of surprise that makes him good in the octagon. No one knows what his next move's gonna be, meaning he's one of the most unpredictable and unorthodox fighters in the UFC. Seriously, you've got to be on your toes when you're up against this guy. He's gonna strike you from the left, from the right, or even surprise you with an uppercut. Oh, and don't even get me started on the more creative moves he's got in his locker. When a fighter goes into a match, they usually prepare for some of the moves their opponent is known for. And when it comes to Yair though, his opponents would prep for his deadly kicks and jabs. But let me ask you a question. How do you prepare for a move that you've never even seen before? You can't! And that's what makes El Pantera so different from everyone else. Take his bout against Chan Sung Jung at UFC Fight Night 139, for example. The fight was almost about to end, and the Korean Zombie had let his guard down too, leaving the decision to the judges. And yet, within the final seconds of the fight, Yair ducked under a lazy punch from Chan and delivered a wild rising elbow straight to the chin, instantly knocking Chan out.
Gonna throw another big shot. Oh, nice body kick. One more flurry. Oh!
It was an incredible move that no one saw coming, so much so that it earned Yair the Knockout of the Year award. But it's not just the variety and creativity of his moves that his opponents hate, it's also the speed at which he delivers his blows. Make no mistake, this guy is one of the fastest fighters on the roster. As a matter of fact, I'd go as far as to say that the reason why his striking is so effective is because he does it at such incredible speed that no one sees it coming. Besides, you've got to be quick to be unpredictable, right? And that's exactly what Yair does. He doesn't need to cook his punches or kicks. Instead, it's almost as if he generates power out of nothing, which can catch his opponents off guard. But again, even that's not good enough for him. On top of already being incredibly fast and having a wide variety of attacks, Yair also likes to combine these into some super creative combos. I mean, he'll kick you to make you lose balance, punch you on the rib, and then finish you off with a hook to the head. It's this quick thinking that makes him so devastating, not to mention he's also always moving around the octagon, looking for openings and trying to tire his opponents out. That said, while everyone obviously loves to rave on and on about his versatility in the cage, Yair's kicks are still his #1 weapon. This guy's arguably the best kicker in the entirety of MMA. Yep, he's that good, and there are a couple of reasons for that. First thing, there's obviously the variety. Since he's so acrobatic and can jump around and be creative with his moves, you never know where his leg is going to come from. It could be a kick to the head, or leg, or even something wild like a straight-up flying kick.
10th UFC appearance for him. Oh. Rodriguez with an early offering up top.
On top of that, he hits hard. So hard that he could knock someone out with just a kick to the head, something that Andre Fili found out the hard way.
Yair's just so oh, round kick, wow. He got him. It's
just like that. It is all over.
Wow.
Unbelievable!
Then there's his southpaw stance that allows him to be super effective against orthodox fighters. He starts off by using side kicks to target the opponent's lead knee, which eventually does take its toll over a long fight. Plus, since he's really quick with his movement and has a decent reach, Yair can also stop his opponent's momentum with a quick kick to the knee. It's a very useful weapon. Oh, and don't even get me started on his body kicks, because that's arguably the most consistent source of steady and brutal offense for him. Seriously, those kicks are relentless, and since they're so quick, the other fighters never get a chance to react and sweep him off his feet either. But again, this guy just has way too many surprises in store, because he uses his kicks as a defense mechanism too. I mean, it's a given that everyone would try to target Yair's legs since they're his biggest strength, so to make sure that doesn't happen, he uses counter kicks. Imagine someone's moving forward to kick Yair's legs. What do you expect him to do? Try to move back or block, right? Nope. He actually waits for his foes to throw a kick and then counters them with front and side kicks as their leg is off the mat. And this, folks, not only gets them off balance, but also makes them second-guess their moves. Like, no one's gonna attempt a kick again if they know Yair's gonna sweep them off their feet in return. A lot of this comes from the way El Pantera was raised. You see, growing up in Mexico, Yair got into Taekwondo at a super early age.
It means a lot, you know, it's been a dream for years. I've been dreaming about this moment since I was a kid, you know.
And yeah, he's not got a black belt, but that's not the only influence he's got from his country. He's really good at punching people too. After all, boxing is also very big in Mexico, so Yair's got plenty of experience with that. In fact, his punches are incredibly underrated, since people love to focus on all the things he does with his legs. That said, he wouldn't be a great kicker without his punches, because he basically uses them as a distraction for his devastating kicks. I mean, imagine trying to defend against all four limbs at once. You just can't. And that's what makes Yair's fighting style so effective. He may not be the hardest puncher in the UFC, but that doesn't mean he's weak either. In fact, his left hook and body shots are still strong enough to knock someone out with a good connection. His jabs, though, are on a whole other level. They're quick and can hurt his opponents, especially when they're hyper-focused on his legs. It's a quick attack that can surprise anyone and really disorient them during a fight, allowing Yair to find some new openings in their defense. Again, that's what makes him such a dangerous fighter, because he combines these kicks and punches so effectively, making his offense more dangerous than the sum of its parts. But Yair Rodriguez isn't just limited to striking his opponents. His submission holds have come a long way too. In fact, this was probably the one thing missing from his arsenal for the longest time. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he wasn't good before, but back in the day, he was just a striker. These days, he can actually make fighters submit. Oh, and not just any fighters. I'm talking about the likes of Josh Emmett, who's a super tough dude. And honestly, the fact that Yair managed to make him submit with a triangle choke is a testament to how far he's come. Like, let's be real for a second. For the longest time in his career, Rodriguez was just a creative guy, an exciting action fighter. But after his win over Emmett, he's become so much more than that. Now there's another word for him: champion. With that said, while his incredible arsenal of moves has obviously helped him get to this point, there's one more thing about Yair that often goes under the radar, and that's his stamina. If you've watched him fight before, you'd know that he's not exactly the most deadly fighter out there. Sure, he does a lot of damage and is great at surprising opponents, but you'll rarely ever see a knockout from him within the first few seconds of a fight. That's not a bad thing though, because his cardio game is so good that he never slows down during a match. Seriously, just compare some of his movement between the first round and round 5, and you'll see that the dude doesn't have any drop in tempo, which is incredibly impressive for someone who's already as high energy as him. Not to mention, by the time a fight goes beyond round 3, his opponents start to feel exhausted, especially after keeping up with his wide variety of attacks. So even if he doesn't manage to knock someone out by the end of a fight, chances are that he's gonna win by the judge's decision, because there's no way he's letting anyone dominate those final few rounds. So there you have it, from his insane energy level that doesn't drop throughout the fight, to his super unpredictable fighting style that can surprise opponents. That's why pros hate fighting against Yair Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.